The time has come to the speech of the chief guest, and I would like to invite the conference chair, Professor Nalin Abhisekara, to introduce the chief guest of International Conference on Management and Entrepreneurship, the ICOM 2022.
It's my great pleasure for me to introduce our chief guest, Prof. Phillip Kotler, the father of modern marketing. Prof. Kotler is a scholar, author, consultant, and more importantly, a great human being, which we really love to talk about. Prof. Kotler is teaching at Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University for last 50 years. He's the author of over 150 articles and 80 books, including Principles of Marketing, one of the main book we are going to refer in our university time onwards. Marketing for Hospitality and Tourism, Strategic Marketing for Non-Profit Organizations, Social Marketing, Marketing Places, the Marketing of Nations, Confronting Capitalism, Democracy in Decline, and Advancing the Common Good. And also in his book of Marketing 3.0, we have witnessed a paradigm shift in marketing, as he argued that instead of treating people as consumers, marketers must approach them as all human beings with minds, hearts, and spirit. His research covers the strategic marketing, consumer marketing, business marketing, professional services marketing, and e-marketing. He has been a consultant to IBM, General Electric, AT&T, Bank of America, Merck, Motorola, Ford, and other leading companies. He has lectured in many countries, including Italy, Sweden, China, Japan, India, Indonesia, Australia, Mexico, Brazil, Chile, and many other countries. It is important to note that Professor Phillip Kotler is our mentor and one of the inspirational motivators for the success of the Sri Lanka Journal of Management Studies, which is published by the Faculty of Management Studies, the Open University of Sri Lanka. Thus, without wasting any time, I would like to invite Professor Phillip Kotler for his speech. Thank you.
Greetings. I hope you can hear me because I wanted to say this is my third visit to Sri Lanka, in the sense that I have been here in Sri Lanka 2 times in a live form. Until now, I am Zooming to Sri Lanka. And this is a very well-planned conference, and I'll go right to my subject so that you can think about some interesting issues faced by managers around the world. So I'm going to turn to my slides, and they will be projected now, and I think you can see them. And I'm going to make I'm looking at my own screen just to be sure that everything is handy. 1 second for, okay, this is even better. And greetings to all of the academics present and the managers and entrepreneurs. Let me start by saying the following, that marketing is changing very rapidly. I would first want to, before I talk about the future of marketing, I want to talk about what it really is. It is a part of economics. As in the social sciences, it comes close to being the field of economics, but it's applied economics. It's not the economic theory that we often read about, demand and supply and scarcity and things like that. All of that applies, but this is economics trying to be useful and to guide the readers and the students and the business people to intelligent decision making. So it's applied economics with a social character, and it is a force that shapes our wants and our lifestyles more than we really realize. Of course, so many things shape our lifestyles, but marketing, advertising, Salesforce, all this creates and diffuses lifestyles. And the field is undergoing continuous change. I know this because I remember an interesting episode when a CEO came up to me and he said, "Would you sign a copy of your book?" And I said, "Of course." And I looked at the book, and it was my first edition of Marketing Management, written in 1967. And I said, "Are you still using that book?" He says, "Yes, whenever some problem comes up." Remember, I cover finance and marketing and human resources, so I go to your book. "And do you find many answers?" And he says, "Yes, there's a lot of guidance in that book." I said, "Well, the thing is, it has very little on branding, because when I first did the book, there was only 3 pages that I devoted to branding. It has nothing on digital." So he said, "Are you trying to sell me a new edition?" I said, "Of course I am, but it's not to get the money from a new edition. It's to make your decisions much better, because marketing has changed. And that's what you have to use 21st century marketing, not 20th century marketing." Okay, so what is the purpose of marketing? Here's a statement I like to use. The purpose of marketing is to create, communicate, and deliver value that satisfies a target market's need or desire at a profit to the supplier. It's, to be brief, CCDVTP, create, communicate, deliver value to a target market at a profit. We can go beyond that. We could say that not only good companies, but great companies do the following. They see that the higher purpose of marketing is to innovate new and better products and services and create new markets. And I might say the supreme purpose of marketing is to enhance the well-being of your customers and society as well. Now, there are tenets to the field of marketing that are very well known. I mean, this is a field that is buyer-centered. It is not product-centered. It is buyer-centered. You are designing your company to satisfy the needs of your target customers who you want to enhance and increase their well-being. And we use the 4 A's, we use the 4 P's, we use the 4 C's. I don't want to go into them, they're just in front of you. And we do segmentation, targeting, and positioning, because we cannot be Coca-Cola. We cannot make a drink for the whole world. We wish we could, but we got to be smart and choose a segment of a market that we can serve better than anyone else. And we position ourselves once we have that segment in mind. And then we go through a whole process, a planning process, starting with marketing research, because you can't go to serve a market that you have no information about. You must always start with understanding that market. And we understand it so well that we segment it and know which part of the market we're going to target. So we have defined a target market, a TM. We have to say what we're planning to offer. What is our value proposition, our VP? And once we're at that stage, we're ready to do the marketing plan, the MP. We're ready to implement it. And we're going to take control. We're going to watch what happened. Did we achieve our desired outcomes? And when we don't, we take that very process and work it backwards. Had you done a poor job of implementation? No, it was a pretty good job. Did you have really a good marketing plan? Well, we thought we did. Were you using the right value proposition? Well, I thought so. Did you go after the right target market? Et cetera, et cetera. So by working backwards, you can isolate and find what went wrong and why your sales didn't achieve the outcome. So let's move forward. There's a real problem happening in the world, and this is a post-COVID problem. So we are really not post-COVID because I see everyone with masks, and I understand that, and we're doing the same. COVID is here, and we're doing our best fighting of it. But there's another problem, another C, and it's climate change. And you know it, around the world, climate change is causing disasters, overheating the planet. It's going to lead to floods, and more fires and hurricanes. And the main thing is there's a message, and the message is carbon. We must decarbonize. Everything we do, every movement we make generates greenhouse gases, not only carbon, but methane and other gases. And therefore, those are the factors that are heating the planet. So we have to reduce our carbon footprints and do it in time because the clock is ticking very fast. That means that while you were comfortable pursuing profits, it's not enough. You have to add one more goal as a business: profits plus sustainability. Now, this is interesting because marketing might have to change its purpose, because its historical purpose has been to build demand in the interest of endless economic growth and job creation. Can we really have endless economic growth without ruining the planet? Industrialization leads to more carbon and warms the planet. So marketing may have to change its purpose. It must aim more to reshape and possibly reduce consumption. And I'm not saying reduce consumption in Sri Lanka, not reduce consumption in many, many countries that don't have sufficient consumption, but the advanced countries which generate the most carbon, and that's the United States and Europe and China and India. India is not yet that advanced, but I hope it is. I've been telling them for years, wake up, you have been a sleeping tiger. In any case, we need to start possibly reducing consumption in the advanced countries. And the means by which we do it are marketing means. It's interesting, but except we call it social marketing, because the aim of commercial marketing is to satisfy any need that exists. Let's say a lot of people like to smoke cigarettes. Commercial marketers say, fine, we'll make cigarettes for you. A lot of people like to gamble. So a hotel says, good, we'll create a casino where you can gamble. So we don't judge needs in traditional marketing. I think that has to change. At least there's a branch of marketing called social marketing that tries to correct the excesses of commercial marketing. We now say we've got to conserve our resources. Yes, human wants may be endless, but resources are limited. And therefore, we have to use our resources more carefully. We must recover, reuse, and recycle existing products and resources. And we have to make sure that we use water carefully. We don't let plastics damage our oceans. There's so much plastic in our oceans that the size of Texas. And we got to lower our temperature. If we're overheating things, we've got to use the best lighting, most long-lasting lighting if possible. You know all of this. So we move on and say this. Our companies should increasingly take a stand and stand for what is good for society, as well as what is good for profits and sustainability, because there are social problems that you know about everywhere. Underneath a lot of it is income inequality, the injustice of people being poor and remaining poor as hard as they work, and a few people earning so much that there's no real decent sharing of income. And no company can solve this problem by itself, hunger and poverty. So several companies hopefully will assist in some problem in their community besides making money and profits. In fact, look at this. In an earlier book I wrote, where we studied 45 companies, we found that most of them had a cause. Avon sells, has entrepreneurs, young, normally women, who sell goods by knocking on the door of other women and saying, I want to be your friend. I have a lot of products that you might need. And of course, it's women selling to women. And one of the concerns women have is breast cancer. And Avon has been stellar in raising millions and millions of dollars through all kinds of efforts to use for research to work on that problem of breast cancer. And I can go to every one of these companies and they have a cause. Does your company have a cause? And what is the cause? And what are you doing about it? Now, marketing is changing for so many reasons, but another one is the digital revolution. The digital revolution has really made a major change in advertising, retailing, salesmanship. And the question I'm asking you, if you are a manager, or even if you are a academic teaching business, and particularly marketing, but are your people digitally competent? Because if you're not into digital, you can't use the old textbooks anymore. The finance people and the marketing people in a company have to be digitally competent, which means younger people were hired by your companies because they are digital natives. They grew up digitally. And if it's only the older generations that are running your companies without many people who know the digital world, those companies will be in trouble. Because today companies are gathering demographic and psychographic data on individual customers, so they could be reached through social media, Facebook, and through Instagram and other social media. So, and I hope your companies or tell your students to study this, are tracking customer purchase journeys, the journeys that customers actually go through to reach a decision to buy something. I'll say more about that. Is marketing changing? Yes. Every few years, we write another book, not another textbook, but a shorter book for managers to read, to update them. So we wrote Marketing 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, each one showing the changes that we have to accept. For example, Marketing 1.0 is really a description of rational marketing, where you say, well, I have a good product, I'm pricing it right, it's bound to sell. What else should a customer know about it? Well, that doesn't work that way. Most customers, at least consumers, are emotional buyers. I would say 70% of their decision making is emotional or based on habit, based on impulse. And how could you do functional marketing successfully by just being rational about it? And then in 3.0, we wanted to talk about the real ultimate purpose, well-being marketing. And then when 4.0 was written, we said, guys, move from traditional to digital. And now in 5.0, we brought a lot of digital tools to the attention of the marketing profession. I'm going to skip this. Here's the story. When you have to think about generations. The baby boomers are running your companies now. The Generation X people are probably making up your managers in companies. The Generation Y people are in their 20s, their late 20s maybe now. They're the millennials. Generation Z, they were born with computers and they're tech savvy, and I might say they're also called the centennials now. So your company ought to have millennials and centennials. And I keep saying the company because I'm not saying that. I know we have the whole academic faculty here listening, but they're teaching the students. And so let me move on. Now, the thing about each generation is each generation has grown up with different world events, different music, different entertainment, different social movements. Therefore, they have different preferences for products and brands and services. And they have now these two generations, millennials and centennials, they don't want to work as hard as their parents worked. They want to have good balance between work and family, work and friends. And they also care about the environment because those two generations grew up hearing about the problems of pollution in the air, poor water quality, and so on. And therefore, they want to work for a company that cares. If you're a company that doesn't care about the culture, the situation we're in, the problems we're facing, you're going to lose out to companies that will show more caring. Now, from the marketing point of view, you always have to study the customer journey. And we put it in terms of 5 steps. Getting someone aware of your company, helping them find your company appealing. And we use a lot of advertising for that, awareness and appealing. But the customers, the new ones will ask questions. Because you're trying to sell them something, so they have a lot of questions, which we have to answer carefully by a lot of content marketing and by indirect ways too. Now, finally, the person decides to buy for the first time. Hopefully it was satisfying and he or she buys again. And if we're lucky, they become a loyal customer. They buy again and again. And that's the aim of the company, not to make one sale, but to build and create a lifetime customer. And what you have under these 5 stages are the roles played by advertising, which then is followed by content marketing, followed by direct marketing, by sales work, distribution channels, and so on. So let's move on. Here are some of the main features of the new marketing. We are excited about artificial intelligence, particularly the form called algorithms. Algorithms are going to multiply. A bank uses an algorithm to make the decision on whether to make a loan to a customer who's just asked for help. The university you're in, the Open University of Sri Lanka, probably uses an algorithm to decides for the university whether to accept that student who's applying for that university. See, the algorithm is not just one person who's had a lot of experience making that decision. It's more than that. It uses the experience of the person who is pretty good at judging a student who applied, but it enriches it with more variables that show what the right decisions would have been in those past cases that were not the right decisions. So an algorithm becomes the substitute for a live decision maker deciding who gets into college. We can say more about that. Marketing automation is very important because there's a lot of routine work in marketing. And you don't need it to be done by hand and by paper. You can carry on a lot of the activities on the computer and digitally. And then another big idea is mapping the customer's journeys who came to your dealership. Just imagine a car company. How did that person ever end up in our dealership? Well, maybe we have to ask that person, when did you first hear about our product? What did you think at the time about our product? What media did you see? What ads of ours or competitors did you see? What brought you into our dealership today? Well, if you do that questioning with your people who come to visit your dealership, you'll have a pretty good theory of how to encourage more customer journeys. And customer journeys are made up of touch points. In other words, just the seeing of an ad that makes an impression, just talking to a friend who just bought that Toyota car, all the excitement he has had, that's important. So you must do very good touch point marketing. You must be present at the touch points along the journey. Another concept is personas marketing. Your marketing people have to send out communications and ads. Do you know who you're trying to reach? What does that person look like? Are you in the business of trying to sell clothing to women between ages 35 and 50? Okay, let me go further. What age, that's their age, but what income level are you talking about? Are you talking about high income women between 35 and 50, medium income, or low income? Because the language you would use would change if the message is to be understood by the person. So you create personas that give you a better language appropriate to the specific target market. You've got to define the target market more in real terms. Content marketing is about not only advertising, reach people and send interesting things to them. Content that might be about sports activities, about social events, content. And also pay a lot of attention to the influence of certain people who have a lot of a high network. They have so many fans, and if they start talking about your product to their large network, well, they're doing your advertising for you. All right, let's move on. And the next thing that's important is there are new tools called, we call it MarTech tools, marketing technology. By the way, in finance, they're called fintech tools. And here's the list, but you'll have to read about it in any number of new books that have come out. I could talk for an hour on every one of these, but I'm going to move on. What's happening with sales? Well, it turns out that if you talk to the pharmaceutical people and about their sales force, they're getting gripes from their sales force that the saleswoman cannot reach the doctor. The saleswoman comes, she made an appointment to see the doctor, but she's told by the nurse, oh, the doctor's busy, just leave the sample of the new drug and the brochure. He will read it or she will read it and get back to you if they have any questions. So now you're hiring salespeople not to talk to the customer, but to just deliver some samples and brochures. The question is increasingly being asked, do I want a salesperson to visit me? Do I need, everything I need to know is on the internet. Why should I have a call from 3 different salesmen trying to get my business when I can see their quality and the reviews that the companies that I'm considering got on the internet? Okay, so there's a real problem of the future of the sales. What about retailing? What's happening? Well, COVID took care of that question to a large extent because hotels had to close down practically. Air travel closed down. Entertainment, live entertainment closed down. Stores selling clothing had no customers come. Most customers didn't want to catch anything like COVID. So online, there was one real big benefit. More people started to buy online. They wouldn't have done that otherwise that fast. But in any case, the question is, will retailing come back? And how much of it will come back? Yes, if COVID was over tomorrow, there'd be startups again. And people will be going to some stores because you need to go to a furniture store to feel the furniture before you buy it. And you have to go to a car dealer to test the car. So those retail outlets would be there. But the question is, will people go for their clothes? Some people have bought their clothing through catalogs. And then they return a piece that wasn't described well. But the main thing is, if you want your store to be busy, you got to make your store interesting. And we haven't really paid enough attention to how to design the store, merchandise in the store, have good colors and good clerks, good salespeople in the store if you want the stores to be alive again. You know, marketing has been expanding very rapidly to more than commercial marketing. Remember place marketing. What is that? Well, every city wants to compete for tourists, not only for tourists, for millennials, for talented internet people. Places are competing, they're marketing. They all have done branding work. There's a set of words they use about, you know, love to see Hawaii or whatever. Person marketing, of course, that's been going on forever. And social marketing, which is designed to help people not smoke cigarettes, not litter. A lot of positive things too. Social marketing convinces people to exercise more, to eat better food. Now, political marketing, all over the place. Every time there's an election, much sooner than the election takes place, it goes on. Fundraising. So marketing is a very broad enterprise. By the way, people have different feelings about marketing. Yes, we need marketing, but does it have to be so intrusive and so interruptive of my work, where my phone rings and it's someone trying to sell me something? And can I trust what they say in their ads? One executive said, in the factory we make cosmetics, in the store we sell hope. In other words, they exaggerate what that skincare product will do. They only talk about the positives of a product, not the negatives and all that. Deceptive practices. We hope that doesn't happen. That will kill the firm when it's discovered. Too much hard selling, too much pressure selling. Buy now, pay later. Don't worry that you don't have much money. Get a credit card. You'll pay that way. There's too much choice as well in some cases, in some categories. Anyways, as if you were a business, please try to tone this down and to do it in a different way, a way that treats people with more care and dignity. All right, so I wrote a recent book called H to H Marketing, standing for human to human marketing. And it said there's only one type of marketing you should do. Do not do wasteful marketing, okay? Do not do inane marketing where you're being silly. You're not talking about anything meaningful. Do not do unethical marketing. Do H to H marketing because it's a people business. It's people selling or buying with other people. So I'm going to summarize marketing and what's happening in the future. Buyers will be able to select the best brands in the future without needing much advertising or salespeople. The internet supplies so much information. So what will marketing depend upon? Well, success will depend upon three things: smart pricing, having built a strong brand, and third, owning a dominant position in the channel, in the particular big supermarket, but always owning practically the channel, or good position, good shelf space in the channel. Marketing creativity will be crucial in the area of experiential marketing, because that's what marketing is best at, creating experiences that are meaningful and moving. Marketers will make more use of customer journey mapping, touch point marketing, personas, content, and influencers. Marketers will use virtual reality, which we're coming to more and more. You don't build a factory making an automobile. Put the automobile on the computer that you want to design and give a sample of your target customers a chance to experience that automobile in virtual reality, in what we might call the metaverse that you created. In other words, they see themselves stepping into the new car, which doesn't exist, by the way, except it is, they see it, they feel it, they get in, they press down, they turn on the engine, they hear the noise, and they drive away. Now, if they report being very satisfied with this experience, they want to buy the car. You haven't made it, but at least you know, so many said they want to buy it. Now you can build the factory. Okay. And another thing is marketers will use more neuroscience tools to identify the best stimuli. And please add to the firm a neuroscientist, an expert in brains and brain research and how the brain works. Well, let me conclude. You've been very kind listening to me. Within 5 years, and I say this to companies to scare them, of course, within 5 years, if you're in the same business you are in now, you're going to be out of business. Well, thank you. I know there's other speakers and you're looking forward to hearing from them. Thank you very much for the honor of being invited to your first conference that deals with management and entrepreneurship. And best of luck in running your conference. Thank you.
Right.